This is Into the Odd in 5 minutes. Into the Odd is a rules light role playing game by Chris McDowell. That name might be familiar if you've heard of Into the Odd before. This is the sort of updated, revised, remastered, definitive, super new, and improved version of the game. You might have also heard of Chris's other work, Electric Bastion Land, which is just an absolutely wonderful game that I should do a video about as well at some point. Into the Odd is it's unbelievable. It's so nimble and quick on its feet. It looks like a big book here, like there's a lot going on here, but in fact, the first 60 pages cover the rules of what you need to play, and really you only need a few of those pages as a player to understand how this game works. The rest is an unbelievable adventure that I won't spoil too much about because it's just really, really cool, and tons of tables and other resources for you as the referee, the GM equivalent Into the Odd, to run your game the best way possible. What is the game about? Well, it takes place in the same world of Bastion, which is sort of this industrial wild city out in a dangerous and sort of semi-magical world. You play as explorers who are essentially treasure hunters. You're out there looking for arcana, magical items that are worth a great amount of wealth, but they're also just incredibly powerful. Certainly, you want them yourself to empower yourself as an explorer, but there are also wealthy people in Bastion who would probably want those relics and trinkets for themselves. The game is very rules light. You just simply have 3 stats or attributes, and it's a roll under save based system, meaning when you create your character, you generate your stats by rolling 3d6. That sets the sort of value of that. So, for example, strength is one of your stats. If you roll a 12 when you create your character, anytime you try to accomplish something with strength and you are asked to make a save, you roll a d20. If you hit 12 or under on that d20, you succeed. Anything above that is a failure. And that's really like everything you need to know for the most part as a player in terms of how rolling dice is going to work. The cool thing about character creation is you roll up your stats. There's this unbelievable spread, this table that takes your highest attribute and the HP that you created, and you kind of find where those two things match on the table, and it gives you your starting gear that way. So it's a massive table filled with different setups for what your character might have. So even if you end up with a really powerful high stat and a lot of HP, you might not end up with the best bundle of opening gear. It's a really clever way to start the way the game is played. Other than that, as you play the game, you go out and try and find arcana in these kind of dangerous places in and around Bastion. Again, this massive city, this industrial city. You roll saves whenever the referee calls for them. This is only called for when there's a risk involved in the success or failure of the players. One of the coolest things about the game is that there's no rolling to hit. When you're trying to deal damage to something, you simply roll the die that's associated with that weapon. That just tells you how much damage you do right out the gate, taking away any like damage mitigating things like armor or anything like that. I love that, right? No rolling to hit. You just hit. You're very good at things. Another one of my favorite things about this is when it talks about how much a player can do during their turn, they can move and do an action. And the amount of time it takes to do a turn is totally irrelevant. However long it takes you to do that action, that's how long your turn is. The game is nimble in that way, right? It is there to kind of just guide you through the process of going through this exploration rather than layering on a number of different rules that help you sort of simulate at a very precise level what treasure hunters or explorers of a dangerous world would actually experience. Like I said, there's a really cool adventure in here that I will not spoil for you because it's so cool. But what I love about the adventure is it's a multi-layered sort of thing. So you go from like hex crawl to like going into certain hexes where there's now a little dungeon map inside of there. There's layers and layers inside of this adventure that I can imagine you could spend a lot of time exploring. In fact, there's also plenty of rules and ideas for the GM and for the players how to continue playing. You're going to gather up all this treasure. Why not start a business? Going to and from Bastion between all these adventures, you got to check in with people. You got to advance your own paths, advance your own careers, and watch out for the people who might want to take that arcana from you. So if you want this really cool rules-like definitive like edition of Into the Odd, highly recommend getting this print copy. It's fantastic. Cannot recommend this one enough. Go grab Into the Odd. Until next time, bye.